fourth suspect has been apprehended in a flat in Umbilo in KwaZulu-Natal after being found in possession of images and videos of child pornography. They forms part of 27 online predators that have been identified in South Africa by a joint international operation that led by the South African Police Services Serial and Electronic Investigations Unit and the USA Department of Homeland and Security. We are now joined on the line by police spokesperson Brigadier Athlenda Mathe. Brigadier, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. So following the arrest that we saw in the earlier on in this week, the fourth arrest has now been made. Tell us about the role that this suspect has played in this ring.
Okay. Well, a very good morning and thank you for the opportunity. The fourth suspect, which is a 60-year-old man, forms part of 27 child online sexual predators that are on our radar that we are tracing in the country. They have been identified as child online sexual predators through an international tip-off line that our unit utilizes to monitor offenders that view, access, distribute, download child pornography. So in 2017, as the SAPS, we established this unit that solely focuses on tracing and arresting serial rapists, as well as tracking offenders that are involved in the distribution, sharing, and even selling of child pornography. I think it's very important, Aldrin, to highlight that if an individual is found in possession, in your device, in your tablet, in your phone with child pornography, you will be arrested on the spot by members of the SAPS because it is a crime to keep and be in possession of child pornography. So yes, this is our fourth arrest. Our first three arrests were made earlier in the week. The first arrest was made in Springs, where a 63-year-old man, British citizen, who was also found to be in the country illegally, was also found with hundreds and thousands of pictures of child pornography. But in his case, he was found to be actually in the pictures, in the videos, performing sexual acts to children below the ages of 12 years old. But also what is concerning with this particular case is that he was found to be over and above involved in performing sexual acts with with a dog. He was then charged with bestiality. That is the charge you face if you are found to be performing sexual acts with animals. The second suspect was then arrested in Benoni and the third suspect in Krugersdorp.
Yeah. Are you able to say how exactly this network operated of these alleged predators, considering that they are all found in different areas, some in Benoni, you have some also in the western parts of Gauteng, and then now you have somebody being arrested in KZN?
Okay, so like I've indicated, our unit is linked to this international tip-off line that monitors users, people who are distributing and even viewing child pornography. So on a daily basis, they alert us to these type of criminal activities. From those users, we sift on active users.
Brigadier
Mathe,
I'm going to ask you to just quickly pause there. We seem to have a problem there with your line. We're going to try and get back to you and re-establish that line to Brigadier Athlenda Mathe, speaking to us about the fourth arrest. Okay, we have the Brigadier back on the line. Brigadier, you're still explaining the work that you're doing and how you're able to link all of these fourth suspects who are found in different areas.
So as I've indicated, Aldrin, our unit is linked to this international tip-off line that alerts our members on a daily basis to offenders that are involved in downloading, in searching and accessing child pornography throughout the world. So last year alone, I've indicated that we were alerted to 130,000 users in the country that were involved in this type of crime. So from that 130,000, we were able to then work on 27 key suspects who are involved in sharing, downloading, and making this child pornography. So like I've indicated, the first suspect was arrested earlier this week in Springs. He was found to be in possession of thousands of child pornography. He too was in those videos and in those pictures where he was performing oral sexual acts with children below the ages of 12 years old. But but he too was also found to be performing sexual acts with a dog. So we then charged him with bestiality. The second suspect was also then arrested in Krugersdorp and in Benoni. So yes, our team is on the ground. They are busy with the tracing operations, but of importance is that they're also busy with the tracing operations for these children that have been identified in these particular videos and pictures, because they are children below the ages of 12 years old.
Is it known whether their parents were aware of these acts of violence against these children?
Well, that forms part and parcel of our investigation. What we have picked up, Aldrin, is that these predators, they are targeting children from vulnerable backgrounds that need father figures, uncle figures. So they would lure them in, befriend them, make them win their trust, and then they will start off by buying them things and so on, even go to an extent of doing their homework, helping them with their homework. So they build this trust with the child, so much so that when they start with their sexual acts, the child is then afraid to speak out, to tell an adult about it. So you find that in most cases, children do not speak out about what they are going through. And because of the ages of these children, some of them do not know how to distinguish between right and wrong. So, and that is why, as the SAPS, we are urging parents to be extra cautious, be extra vigilant when it comes to children who have devices and computers and laptops at home. You need to monitor the use of your children's devices, what type of chat rooms they are in. Actually, we do not condone and encourage kids to be part of chat groups on your social media platforms and so on. But what is also of importance, parents need to start having conversations, these difficult conversations with children. Make them aware that a person touching you in a certain way, it is wrong. So the education must start at home, so that when the child is then confronted with such an issue, it then becomes easy for them to open up to the parent and say, Mom, Dad, this is what I am facing. So indeed, as the SAPS, we think more awareness, more education starts at home when it comes to such cases.
Yeah. Finally, of course, these are accused and they would be given an opportunity to apply for bail, and they decide whether they want to apply for bail. And I'm just reminded now about the Gerard Ackerman case, and where the acting judge, Paul Kennedy, was also arrested in connection with child pornography and the rape of children as well. And later on, after he was granted bail and out on bail, he took his own life. How would the SAPS then approach this bail application, if the bail application was to be made, to ensure that the suspects actually do face the full might of the law?
Well, we do believe that we have a strong case against the suspects that we have arrested. We will be working closely with the NPA to ensure that we oppose bail. We are going to be providing the evidence that we have collected with our units, such as the possession, the making of child pornography, the exposing of young children to pornography. So that is some of the evidence that we have collected. We are analyzing. And our plan is to bring a watertight case before court to ensure that we ensure that more children are saved from such predators.
Yeah, and let's quickly move on to the story about another suspect that was arrested in connection to insurance fraud. Please tell us more about this case. It's also in relation to family members that the accused is accused of actually murdering to siphon the money from insurance.
Okay, so Aldrin, 2 months ago, we were alerted to this particular case through a relative where she approached our team in that she suspected that her family member was involved in insurance fraud, where she was taking out policies and thereafter family members would be dying. So we immediately assembled the team. we assembled this team, which was led by Sergeant Keshi Mabunda, solely because Keshi has experience in solving these type of crimes. You will recall that he worked on the Rosemary Ndlovu case. He investigated it and ensured a conviction. So the team started 2 months ago. They collected all evidence. We worked closely with the insurance companies to track and trace this particular suspect. We analyzed all evidence. So in the case that she is appearing in for today, she's being charged with the murder of her cousin. Her cousin's death was initially reported as a natural death, but upon our team analyzing further, investigating and collecting all evidence, and even going as far as exhuming the body of this particular cousin, exhuming rather the body of this particular cousin, we then found that in actual fact, the cousin was murdered and it was not an inquest as was reported. We then brought forward the docket to the DPP Northwest, and they overturned the charge to murder. But what is also interesting and what we are investigating, this particular woman, her 21-year-old son, also died from mysterious circumstances earlier in the year. He too was insured with large amounts of money. Her husband died in 2016. Her daughter, one of her daughters, died in 2015, and the other daughter died in 2005. So we are working together closely in collaboration with the insurance companies to also investigate those cases that happened about a decade ago. And if possible, we are going to bring those dockets before court. If possible, we are also going to exhume those particular bodies and convict her for those murders. But what is of importance as well, Aldrin, I think it's important to highlight and make this call to insurance companies to put systems in place to detect such criminality so that we are able to timelessly save more lives and so on. So what we are urging as the SAPS is that these insurance companies' systems must talk to each other so that we can detect how much people are claiming and how frequent they are claiming, so that this information is brought to the SAPS timelessly. Families must also come up and speak about such criminal activities if they think there is foul play that is concerned, because we are picking up a trend. You insure, you kill, you cash out, you become rich.
Just a final one, confirmation. Is her husband or was her husband a police officer as well?
Yes, through investigation, we have picked up that the husband was a police officer. He is a former member that died in 2016. So in this particular case, we will be focusing on exactly how the husband died. And if possible, and if we have enough evidence, we are also going to bring those charges before court.